Hi everyone, my name is Saira Melendez, and for my functional movement analysis video, I decided to do it on putting a collar on my dog. So we're going to start off by watching the video. Okay, and that was it. I hope you enjoyed the video. So we're going to move on to step number one. So step number one is reaching for the collar, and for this we do bilateral shoulder flexion, bilateral elbow extension, bilateral wrist extension to 19 degrees, slide bilateral wrist supination, slide bilateral ulnar deviation, bilateral forefinger adduction in neutral position, bilateral thumb abduction with extension. Step number two is bringing the collar to dog's neck. And for this, we are going to bi bilateral shoulder flexion, bilateral elbow extension, bilateral neutral wrist, bilateral forefinger adduction with side flexion, bilateral thumb abduction with extension. Step three is wrapping the collar around dog's neck. Bilateral shoulder flexion, right shoulder internal rotation, bilateral elbow extension, right elbow pronation, left elbow supination, bilateral neutral wrist, bilateral forefinger adduction, right neutral index and middle finger, right ring and pinky finger flexion, left middle ring and pinky finger flexion, bilateral thumb abduction with extension. For step four, we're bringing collar strap around through the buckle, bilateral shoulder flexion, right shoulder internal rotation, bilateral elbow extension, right elbow pronation, left elbow supination, right wrist flexion to 52 degrees, left wrist extension to 32 degrees, bilateral forefinger adduction, slide right middle ring and pinky finger flexion, bilateral thumb abduction, left middle finger flexion, left index ring and pinky finger in neutral position. For step number five, we're buckling collar in the first notch. Bilateral shoulder flexion, right shoulder internal rotation, bilateral elbow extension, right elbow pronation, left elbow supination, right wrist in neutral position, left wrist extension to 25 degrees, bilateral forefinger adduction, right index ring and pinky finger flexion, left forefinger flexion, right middle finger in neutral position, bilateral thumb abduction with extension. And then the final step is bring the remaining strap through the keeper loop. And for this, it's going to be bilateral shoulder flexion, right shoulder internal rotation, bilateral elbow extension, right elbow pronation, left elbow supination, bilateral neutral wrist, bilateral forefinger adduction and flexion, bilateral thumb abduction with extension. And for the next slide, we're going to be showing the joints that were involved throughout the movement, and that would be the ball and socket joint, ipsiloid joint, hinge joint, saddle joint, and gliding joint. The planes and axes involved throughout this motion were transverse plane, sagittal plane, and sagittal axis. The contextual factors and environmental factors that could affect this movement are age, ability, disability, physical changes, environmental distractions, so distractions for the dog or products and technology. Two adjustments that could change the demand of the task is if fewer people own dogs, or if dogs did not wear collars, or some collars are more accessible to people. And the aha moment that I had was realizing how many joints and motions are needed to put on a collar for my dog. And on a more personal level, aha moment, I realized that I have never seen my father-in-law, who has no arms, put a collar on his dog, but his dog does wear a collar. So next time I will be observing that once he puts the collar on his dog. Okay, thank you for